Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel. Was Manchester United starting 11 versus Bournemouth a dress rehearsal for the Europa League clash against Bilbao on Thursday? After the match, Ruben Amorim alluded to the comparisons between Bournemouth and Bilbao's defensive style was very similar. We will get into it today, plus more, so get involved, have your say, and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. I hope you're here to sprinkle some positivity on today's video.
Well, after hearing them comments this morning, my foul mood did not improve one little bit. Not one little bit at all. I just thought to myself, and then I had a conversation about Ruben Amorim's comments. It's like telling the opposition, you know, this is what I'm doing when we play you, giving him the information. And I just thought to myself, that's strange. Some people this morning I was chatting to were baffled by it. There was no need for him to say it. But my mood today is absolutely vile. And I mean vile. After watching that game, but it wasn't the game what put me in a vile mood. So I don't know how I'm going to cope today. It was watching the editors and the producers of that match yesterday kept going over to the Liverpool ground, watching the Liverpool fans. You know, they really stuck it up us yesterday. Put me in a terrible mood, and I do apologise today in advance.
Yeah, I don't want to be speaking about Liverpool today, to be quite honest with you. I did tell you that before we started the stream, but you've started it off straight away. But I'm going to pick my mood back up. I'm going to dive into the chat. Sam MUFC says, evening, lads. Bilbao will be a tough game. I watched their recent game, and to get an idea of what they are like, they're a solid team. They don't concede many goals, and we don't score many either. Take a draw right now, going back to OT. I think a lot of us would take a draw, going back to Old Trafford.
Yeah, you take a draw without a doubt. Take it right now. I think what it's about this week is everyone staying calm. That's what it's about. I think the fans have to stay calm. You know, we're rock bottom at the moment. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. And I think the players have to stay calm. They know what they've got. There's a big task ahead here, and it is all about staying calm. And I just look at the fans. Some of them are losing faith in the team. You know, we're rock bottom, and quite right. Some are losing faith, but some are losing faith in Ruben Amorim. So you've just got to stick together now. You know, we've got like 10, 11 days now. What are most important? You know, forget the league. It's not about the league anymore. So just staying calm, backing each other up, not going at it, and just hope that the management here at Man United and the players realise how big this game is for the fans. This could be the worst year since we got relegated. So all about staying calm. That's my message for the week.
Ruben Amorim said after the game, the way Bournemouth defend is quite similar to Bilbao, but we can take things as well from this game. Bruno Fernandes also stated that Bilbao's wingers, the pace that they have, the physicality is also similar from Bournemouth to Bilbao as well. And I asked you straight after the game, and I think a lot of you've seen it for yourselves as well. You know, putting out a strong starting 11 that he did do, I don't think he needed to publicly say this was a dress rehearsal. I think the starting 11 already told Bilbao that, and I think everyone else out there, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone knew it's a strong side. I was absolutely shocked by it. I thought a couple of players like Rasmus Fredriksson, you know, could have been on the pitch at times. I just look around. If that was a dress rehearsal, then we're in trouble. I think he will make a couple of changes. At times, players were just looking around, unsure where they should be yesterday. So it was a poor dress rehearsal, if that's what it was. I think he might be playing mind games here. And quite right, managers have to play mind games on the eve of a semi-final. I think that's maybe what he's doing. And I don't take too much into it now when I sort of think about it. Managers do play mind games. Dress rehearsal, the team, that's not the team. Surely Luke Shaw's not going to start. That was his first start since last February. I think we will get a bit of a surprise, one or two. I think we'll go more attacking, to be honest with you. I honestly do. I think we're going to get a shock. I think he's staying calm. I think the players will stay calm. No way was that a dress rehearsal. I just don't believe it. I cannot see it. I just cannot see it because at times players were unsure of what they were doing yesterday.
Yeah, and of course, and let's be honest with ourselves, we've seen that week on week, where some players are unsure in what the manager actually wants from him. I've seen a lot of players looking over to the manager, going over to Amorim, especially when they went down to 10 men, Bournemouth, and he did tweak it, bringing in Chido Obion. Went more of like a 4-4-2, I thought, for the majority of that, well, the last 20 minutes of the game. But I can't see Man United going over to Bilbao more attacking than what we've actually seen, especially on the Europa League stage. I think they'll just play it similar to how we've actually been doing it. I mean, Garnacho's the only out ball. You can only see anything coming from Bruno Fernandes or Garnacho. And Garnacho, for me, yesterday, didn't get everything right on the receiving end of some really, really tough tackles yesterday. But one of the things I've mentioned loads of times about him, he gets up, he goes again. And he looked like the only player who didn't want to pass it sideways or backwards. He was trying to run into space and create some space for himself. And I'm all for that, because I'm seeing too much of this sideways, backwards passing. We'll be 3/4 up the pitch, have a throw-in or in possession. And I can bet your bottom dollar that we end up going back to the goalkeeper or the 2 or 3 in the defence. And I know he's possession-based. He wants to keep the possession. But sometimes I just think, take a risk. You know, when you've got players like your Garnacho, you know, your wing-backs like your Dorgu, etc., not having a great time right now, but I just think, take a risk.
I think the risk will be taken. I think they will go at it. I think they will go at it and try and catch him. I think if he's talking about that was a dress rehearsal, I think I think they could be fooled here, Bilbao. I think he will spring a surprise. We have to attack. We have to go at him. And I do believe we've got to score 2 goals out there. And I think if we go on the attack, we will surprise him. So for me, I'm just staying calm. I've got the faith. Some don't believe in his system. Some don't believe it works or anything, you know. And like I say, some fans are even saying the players are unsure. And like I say, when they're looking over to the manager, when it's quite obvious what they've got to do is keep the ball, pass it around and get behind him, especially in them 20 minutes, you know. Fans are losing faith. Players are losing faith. That's what's being talked about out there. But I'm not losing faith. I believe we're going to go on the front foot. Best form of defence is attack.
Yeah, no, that's a great old saying. I do agree with that. But the way this Manchester United set up, I still think we look best on the counter-attack when we do sit in deep, like we've seen in some games away at Arsenal, away at Liverpool, away at Manchester City, where we do sit compact and we try and break on that counter-attack, looking for Garnacho up the field. And like I said about yesterday against Bournemouth, I think we ended up having a total of 25 shots.
A lot of shots, that.
That's a lot of shots, but you've also then got to take into consideration the last 20 minutes when Bournemouth went down to 10 men. You know, what's your mood like? You know, what are you coming away from that game thinking, you know, up until then?
Well, up until then, it was poor. I mean, poor. Everyone else said it was poor. That first half, as I said yesterday after the match, I just wanted the game to end. You know, I was absolutely fuming with that football. I thought it was so poor, and he put out a strong side when he had no need to, really, and it was a risk he didn't have to take. So for me, that game yesterday, that was no dress rehearsal whatsoever. It was so poor, and the fans came away after watching that game. I mean, even the fans at the ground, if you watched it on the TV, the second half, it panned to the fans a couple of times. They were stood there, silent, just couldn't believe what they were watching. And you've not seen that from the away fans for a long time. They were losing faith yesterday.
Yeah, I think we've all been there inside the ground, looking a little bit like that at some point during the season. So you can't blame anyone there. There's probably just enjoying that sun in Bournemouth. But yeah, going on to the Bournemouth game as well, you know, the 2 in midfield, he's still going to go with Casemiro and Agate. We was discussing it before we come on stream.
I don't know what he's going to do.
For Bilbao? No,
I don't want Casemiro in there. I just don't want Casemiro in there. We need legs. We need to go on the front foot. That's what I believe. I want someone in there who's going to go on the front foot, who's got the legs to go to the left, to the right and go forward. Okay? I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know his system. I think he might change it. You know, he's got to change it as far as I'm concerned and go on the front foot. This sideways passing, And I did say it again yesterday, sideways passing, going back to the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's not got the faith in the players haven't got the faith in him. That is the major problem. We need to be on the front foot. And Casemiro, for me, against Bilbao, very, very good players. They will have 90 minutes running in them, and they, I believe, will just run ragged round him if he's there, because once he loses it, he loses it.
Yeah, I could possibly maybe see the one change if you wanted to go a little bit more attacking, I suppose, playing Agati with Bruno in that midfield too, instead of playing Casemiro and Agati. Let's say possibly Mainu and Garnacho then as the number 10s. But I'm just going to dive into the chat. Scotty Boy says, from our members club as well, much appreciated. I know it's early days, but Dorgu is not having his best spell right now. We need him to show what he did on his debut. And I was actually saying to you yesterday,
yeah, I know,
that, you know, currently, I mean, since that Nottingham Forest game away, I mean, he had a 20-minute spell in that second half that everything that he touched, or every pass, every dribble he tried, it just didn't work out, and he's not really picked himself back up from that. And I'm looking at young Harry Amas there. I mean, he's coming like a duck to water. I'm not saying like he's at that level yet where you can trust him week in, week out. Maybe in the top games against like Bilbao with the pressure on it. But I mean, I'd be thinking to myself, you know, it's an option to put on that left-hand side.
It was an option to put him on there yesterday against Bournemouth. That was when it should have been used. You know, Ruben Amorim talks about experimenting with players right through the 6 months he's been here. Right, that was the time to do it yesterday. Yeah. Not on Wednesday. I look at Dorgu, and he has gone off the boil from his good early start. I thought he was doing well, getting lots of crosses in and everything else like that. But as with players, when you sign them and they come from abroad, okay, they sort of tend to lose the way. They've got to get used to their environment and all that. And he's had a little bit of a high, and now this is a bit of a low. He has to step it up. But when I looked at his game yesterday, what was happening? They were swapping. The wing-backs were swapping over and that. I just don't understand that in a game. I just don't understand it. And I go back to it where players are unsure of where they should be, what they're doing. They're looking around and they're looking for instructions and all that. Well, you get your instructions at the start of the game. This is what I want you to do. This is where I want you to concentrate. And next thing you know, they're being changed. But they weren't the only players being changed. There were some funny positions yesterday. But for me, Dorgu has gone off the boil. It's normal. I have seen it with many, many players. So I just hope that this week he gets right back on it, because he will be essential to go behind their defenders and get the crosses in, because that's what we need. Front foot, he has to go more forward. And I've not seen it from him where he's done the business.
More or less, sometimes he just ends up on the floor.
Well, that's where he seems.
His first touch sometimes is, he's kicking it too far in front of him. He just needs to maybe work on his close control when he's running with the ball. First touch points as well. But I'm looking at, the build-up play. We've mentioned it how many times this season. A lot of yous out there, recurring theme against Bournemouth. Passing out slow, though, from the goalkeeper. It's always ever between the right centre-back or the left-sided centre-back. It then goes out to the wing-backs. Opposition already know the game plan, so they're already pushing high up on the actual wing-backs as well, and the ball ends up going back into the goalkeeper or back into the defence, and it's,
Well, I was reading the comments from you this morning, and fans out there are fuming at the way they were playing out from the back. Just totally clueless. We've seen it time and time again. And it's the slow build-up. And you can't have a slow build-up because they jump on you, and that's what happens. That's what happened with the goal. The goal was just typical of what we've seen all year. Not passing it to the midfield not wanting it. And that's why I say we have to be on the front foot. And some people will be sort of like, what do you mean on the front foot? We've got to go to Bilbao and attack. And I do believe we have to go on the attack. That's how I see it. Because if we sit back, I do believe they will overrun us because we struggle once a team comes at us and closes us down. and it takes a long time to get any rhythm, and you've got to have that rhythm straight away. Listen, Ruben Amorim has got a big job in the summer, big rebuild and everything else like that. You know, some don't believe his system works. Some don't believe he will be back this summer. But what he's got to do, he's got to instill confidence in this team for one effort, one big effort, because there's not really been a big effort this year. And we have to overcome Bilbao. And we have to get in that final, and we have to win it just to salvage the season and also give us a strong footing for the start of next season.
Going on the front foot, that means a lot more forward passes, not sideways or backwards. And the problem that you do see in this Manchester United team, especially down the spine, there's not a lot of pace in there. Further Manchester United push up on the front foot, you know, in that transition with the opposition then getting the ball, they can counter-attack Manchester United, and that is where we're vulnerable. I think he's always had that in his mind, Ruben Amorim, about maybe going on the front foot in games.
Look, listen, the philosophy at Manchester United has always been wingers go on the attack. It's what we're all used to, okay? And I mean, used to even when United got relegated, okay? When United got relegated, they went on the front foot. The attack just weren't good enough to stay in there. But when they were in the second division and when they come back, that's what they did. That is what United's all about. The philosophy is just attack. Don't worry about the opposition. Let them worry about you. And it just seems to be, for a lot of fans now, frustration that it seems to be the opposite. We're not seeing what we're all used to. And this system, okay, it has to work next year. That's what people are saying, because it is dire at times. And yesterday, I don't think it was the right time to have a dire game of football on the eve of the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm coming across a little bit down, a little bit negative going into the Bilbao game. But as we've seen over this season, they turn in different performances compared to the Premier League. But I go back to before the match, Harry Maguire's comments. He said that they've prepared well for this Bournemouth game and even the Bilbao game, if you remember. And he said that the game against Bournemouth was about getting some confidence as well going into that game. Now, you let me know out there, how much confidence do you think the players have got from that Bournemouth game?
Well, how much confidence have the fans got from it? There's not much confidence out there. Like I say, I've seen all the comments, seen what's being said out there. I've had conversations this morning. You know, there's no confidence with that game. I'm confident going into it. A lot of United fans are confident, right? But not on the back of that game. A week to prepare. Everything was fine. We're ready. We're going to go for it. We're going to play this system, what we're going to play, and the players against Bilbao. Let's build the confidence. There's no confidence from that game. The fans' confidence was shattered at half-time, right? Most people were fuming, okay? And the players just didn't seem to be able to raise the game. A week to prepare. He's always talked about having time with these players, and people are critical. He's had time. He's had time to work with these players to get them ready. Get them ready to look at the Bournemouth and the Bilbao game. So, you know, I'm not on a downer for Thursday because I think it'll change. I'm just on a downer because of what I'm hearing the manager say, what I'm hearing Harry Maguire say. And I think it's just PR. And all we've had this year is PR from everybody. And everybody's sick of it, to be honest with you. So now what we need is a rousing performance. A rousing performance.
Ansel says, confidence, ? Confident we will get bloody humped if we play like that. Going back to Maguire's confidence.
He's right. He's right. You can't play like that.
No.
And that's why I'm saying to you, you know, we should look forward to a team what goes on the front foot, an attacking display. We deserve it as fans because we have been served up some right tripe this year, okay? We've not deserved it, okay? The fans have backed this club. They backed the manager. They backed the players. But people, patience is wearing thin. So what we need is something to raise us all and raise the rest of the team, to be honest with you, and the club. And we need to go there and have it, because I'm telling you that there will be, what can I say, a bit of a meltdown. I'll say that word, a bit of a meltdown, if we go there and we think we can get a result, square passing to the left, to the right, and then passing it backwards. If that happens, I think fans' patience will just explode.
You're always going to get that, though, aren't you?
It's time.
Listen, the sideways passing, going backwards. When you've got two wing-backs, well, especially on the right-hand side, who are more defensively minded. I mean, at times, or a lot of the time, it's like having 5 defenders on the pitch. And I know there's a lot of yous out there, including yourself and Webby. When Ahmad comes back, you want to see him in that number 10 role. I don't want to see him there. I want to see him on that right wing spot, me, as that wing-back. I mean, him in that position then puts United on the front foot. And I want someone on the left-hand side who's got the same mentality, who the first thought is going forward, not defensive. If you've got 3 centre-halves at the back, you've got a holding midfielder. There's 4 players who should be able to do the defensive side of the work in transitions if we're getting counter-attacked. My wing-backs, I want the first thoughts going forward, and we don't see that enough, or some of the players are just not performing to the level of what we want to see in attack.
I go back to the Ruben Amorim rebuild in the summer. What we need to see at this club, right, is people who can score goals, people who can go forward and attackers and go round the defence. That's what we need. We haven't got that at the moment, but people have to step up. They have to step up. Yes, there's a rebuild in the summer, okay? And fans are just not happy with what they're seeing at the moment. And some people are giving Ruben Amorim the benefit of the doubt. They're also going to give Sir Jim Ratcliffe the benefit of the doubt if he brings in the players. Now, 3 players have been mentioned this week. Last week, we've mentioned them. You know, Delap, Kuna, they score goals, they go forward, you know, ideal, you know, and then you've got the midfield player from Atalanta. So in the pipeline, the future looks good, bringing in these players who do go on the front foot. So the system will change. We've just got to get through this and get through it by winning the Europa League. I've always believed that the squad fully fit under Eric Ten Hag, under Ruben Amorim, is good enough in this Europa League final. And when you look at 2 teams who could possibly be in there fighting for 17th in the league, you know, then is the quality that great in the Europa League? No, it's not. We know that. It's the Champions League. That's the bee's knees. You have to remember the teams from the Champions League didn't drop down into the Europa League this year. So, you know, we've had a clear path of being able to play teams on our level, and we've overcome them. So for me, you know, keep the faith, stay calm, and you know,
you're wishful thinking here. You're trying to build yourself up. I know you are.
No, I'm trying to build myself up. Let's be honest out there. You know, I don't think any United fan, after what's gone on yesterday, with watching what Liverpool have done with the fans, with what's going on TV and all that, you know, I'm not watching the TV. I won't watch the TV. Okay, I won't do anything where I can hopefully not watch anything to do with Liverpool. I've done it with City before. I did it with Liverpool when they won the league in the COVID lockdown and that, right? And I got through it and fine. But it's going to be tough. So everyone what woke up this morning is like, they're all on a downer. They're not happy about this, not happy about that. I understand that. I was there myself, right? But this is the week now where we get behind, and then the players what played yesterday all turn up fit, and that we don't get any injury updates tonight, tomorrow, or even like on Wednesday. That is my fear, and that will be a disaster if we've got injuries what have come out of the game yesterday against Bournemouth, because I do believe that team, what was out there, he took a big chance, Ruben Amorim, and it was the wrong time to take a chance. But I am optimistic, okay? Right? The nearer we get to it, the more optimistic I will be.
I'm actually more on board than not with him putting that team selection out against Bournemouth, because he can then come away from it He might have more questions than answers after looking at it ahead of that Bilbao game, but I'm glad that he's done it, because he can take a look at it now and think to himself, do we need to tweak anything? Do we need to change one or two positions? Because Bournemouth are a good team. They've been doing very well this season. Same with Athletic Bilbao. So I'm confident. I've got to keep confident. And on that match day, I'm sure every single one of you will be up for it and hoping that Manchester United get at least a draw or the win in Bilbao. Basrig says, we need to not concede stupid goals and go forward with a ferocious attack. We need to take every opportunity to score goals on Thursday.
Well, someone's getting geared up for it, you know what I mean?
Ferocious.
So it's working. Ferocious could be the word.
When was the last time I seen that, a ferocious attack?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's hope it comes on Thursday.
Yeah, let's hope it comes on Thursday.
If it does come on Thursday, I'll be thinking of you, Baz.
No, people did mention the Bournemouth game, and, you know, you say it was all right, and some people out there say it was all right. But let me tell you, I did warn, right, that Bournemouth will go at United. When United come into town, no team sits there and accepts, it's just Manchester United. They go at it. And you've seen the tackles, what was going in there yesterday on Garnacho straight away. And that was my biggest fear. If Garnacho, right, has picked up an ankle injury and doesn't recover, right, I'm not saying he's got one, right, but he did take some stick yesterday. So fingers crossed that he's all right, because if he's out, there's the player. What you put the ball into space. That's my worry. And that was my worry about putting a strong side out. And lots of people after the game were critical, right, of playing all the players yesterday, knowing how tough and how physical the game would be. That risk to a lot of people was unnecessary, and for me.
A lot of people say Garnacho's got a bit of a weak mentality, but the way he was getting kicked about yesterday and getting up and going on, you know, I think for me...
I've always thought when he gets tackled and that and he goes down and that, I don't think he's weak mentality that way. I always see him get back up and that. Yeah. And he had some good, some hard tackles on him, some bad tackles, to be honest with you. And I thought the ref yesterday especially was too lenient, and he let too many things go. And that's why them tackles kept coming in. And that's why in the end the player got sent off. But for me, no, Garnacho, no, I think he's got the right attitude when it comes to, like, when he's getting fouled and getting up and going back at it, jumping straight back into the fire. No, I think that side of him is good. It's just the other side, his choice of, like, the last minute, should have passed, should have shoot. That's where he needs to improve.
Going back to that Baz Rigg comment, you know, a ferocious attack. I wonder what the chances are of seeing Harry Maguire over the two legs in the last 10 minutes being played as a centre forward. I mean, what's the percentage like? I'm saying 90%.
I think you might. I mean, you could even see that before half time at Old Trafford, depending on the score. Yeah. You know, if they play the way they did against Bournemouth, right? I'm not hopeful. If that style and that system is played, I'm not hopeful at all, and that's why I believe we'll go on the front foot. But Harry Maguire, you know,
get him up.
What season he's had, the comeback for him is just unreal from where he was. The criticism and everything, you know, we give him criticism. And I always say this, quite rightly too, because at times he was diabolical. His choices, his mistakes cost goals and everything, but he's fought back, and I give him that. And I was very surprised, to be honest with you. I was very surprised he started yesterday when he himself tells you that his body can't take it. So to play him yesterday, I thought was really the biggest risk, because we are short of centre-halves for that back three.
Antel says, Ruben gets my full support, but the summer has to be right, no matter what. Osimhen, Kuna, Edison were my choices. Now we need a new keeper too. Just a question to you, Antel, about Ruben gets my full support. And it's just a question to you and everyone else out there. If Ruben Amorim's name was called Gareth Southgate and we was going through this run of performances, run of results, would your attitude change about supporting Ruben Amorim? That's just a question out there for you.
A question?
Yeah, just a question.
That's an hand grenade.
I wouldn't say it's an hand grenade. It's just a simple question, because there's a lot of people who are not on board with Amorim, his tactics. There's other people who's got his full support. For me, I'm waiting for that summer so we can start getting some of these players in, different profile of player than what we've been getting used to over the previous years. So young kids or middle-aged lads, 25, 26, like Kuno, who've got a high intensity and can get up and down the pitch with that quality, of course. But like I say, you know, I just get the feeling.
No,
like with some people, if his name was Gareth Southgate and not Ruben Amorim, would people be hounding him out of the club instead of supporting him?
It'd have been hammered from the first minute. There's no two ways about it. I mean, it's Dan Ashworth, by all accounts, what wanted to bring him in. And maybe that was the trouble, why he ended up leaving, because he wasn't being listened to. Yes, Gareth Southgate, it'd have been hammered from the first minute. There's no two ways about it. No two ways about it. And there's people out there who aren't having Ruben Amorim because of the results and everything. And I can understand that. I really, really can understand that. Some of the things, some of the comments, what Ruben Amorim's come out, some of the things he's doing, I'm scratching my head a little bit saying, this ain't right, this ain't right. But let's get to the summer. Let's get the changes. Let's get all these players out, and let's start at rock bottom, because that's where we are. Did I expect Ruben Amorim to be in this position with this team? No, I didn't. I'm absolutely shocked by it. I'm shocked by it. I think it's a disgrace, but I don't know the answers to why it is. It can't all be on one person. I mean, there's 200 people waiting to be sacked here at Manchester United today. So there's no motivation inside that club, from the cleaning lady, right, in the changing rooms, right, to the manager. I just don't believe it at all. There's no motivation. Who does Ruben Amorim trust? I'm not too sure. Who's backing Ruben Amorim there? I'm not too sure. But 200 people getting ready to be sacked, and we're at rock bottom. No wonder we are where we are, but I am totally shocked.
Yeah, like I say, though, let's get to the summer. Let's try and get some players in who are going to at least improve this squad. And like I mentioned before about Gareth Southgate, it's just a question for you out there. You know, would you still have that same support for Ruben Amorim if it was Gareth Southgate waistcoat sat in the dugout at Manchester United? And, you know, what you've just said there about Dan Ashworth, and thinking even more now that if it didn't go right for Ruben Amorim, this is just a conversation, questions between me and my dad. If it didn't go right for Ruben Amorim and they ended up sacking him, to me that just opens up another can of worms, as to say, well, Dan Ashworth might have been right, and the people inside this club right now, they haven't got all the answers, and the plan that they've ripped up with Erik ten Hag, then brought in Ruben Amorim, having to rip up again. I mean, that doesn't give anyone, surely, any confidence with the people then that's running this football club. I mean, you're looking around the actual club itself. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson's leaving at the end of the season. You've got Jason Wilcox in there. Christopher Vivell, is he a director of recruitment? I think his tag is. But is there any more football people inside that club? If you're looking at, you know, Omar Brado, who's come from the City Group, is he really a football man?
You look around and there's not too many football names. When you look at Gareth Southgate, if would he have lasted this long? And why is Ruben Amorim? I think the reason why Ruben Amorim has lasted this long is because he shouldn't be here. He wasn't due here till the summer, and I think that's his get-out clause, right? But he has to start it off. He has to put the system in place, and that's why the rebuild is there, and he has to be backed in the summer. So I think when you come to Ruben Amorim, why he's not getting the same as like Gareth Southgate would have got the same, is because he didn't want to come until the summer, and he was forced to come. Come now or you'll never get here. Well, you don't turn United down no matter who you are.
No, I do agree. And you've just got to look at it, like I said, with actual people behind the scenes who've worked coaching players, etc. You know, let's just hope the likes of Jason Wilcox, you know, they have got good plans and thoughts going forward about recruitment, getting the right players in. And, you know, I am a little bit confident there. But, you know, let's see what the rebuild's like, or the start of it, this summer.
And it's a long time coming, this rebuild. Do not, right, think it's going to be a quick fix. Not a chance. It starts from the bottom, from the cleaning lady right up. And everyone has to muck in and everyone has to work together. And I don't see that. especially on the back, right, of 200 people, another 200 people getting the sack imminently, ready to be announced today.
To be honest with you, I said at the start of the video, I don't want to talk about Liverpool, but what I will finish on, with them actually winning the league yesterday, what I've done today is got every single staff member inside that club, players, tea lady, directors, you name it. I've locked them all in a room yesterday and shown them all the footage of the Scousers celebrating, the players, the fans, the lot. I've locked them all in the room and gone, this is where we need to get to.
They don't care.
Get 100 fans on a video, get 100 fans in the training ground. Every single one of them is going to say it straight, what they believe in, what they've gone through this season, the financial side of it, you know, taking the kids, going abroad, going to the away games, etc. And get people in there who are just going to tell them straight of what's needed and how we feel as fans this season, because it's just unacceptable. But
we know it's unacceptable, but it'll fall on deaf ears. A lot of people in there just don't care. Just don't care and haven't cared for a long time. And that's why in the summer, change it all and let's see where we go.
Fred says Ineos's incompetence can't be put on Amorim's shoulders, guys. I do agree with that.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah, the point in the season where he's been recruited.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. He's just stuck to his guns. He's come out, said a few home truths about the club, about some players, about attitude. His job was to come in, clear them out and that. And there's still a lot of people to be cleared out. I think once we see the full clear out, and possibly 10 players could go, you know, and it's not just United what are clearing out players. I look at Everton, they've got like 13, maybe more players what will be going. The other clubs are going through the same in the summer. United, you know, there's 10 players there, easily could all be out, and it's just finding clubs for them.
Yeah, just going to go into the chat. Ansel, thanks for your super chat, mate. The root of our problem is the Glazers. They only care about money and created the same culture amongst our players. Money grabbing, weak mentality. Well, obviously, you know, the standards are always set at the top, and obviously them standards haven't been in there because there've been owners who haven't been at the football club, hardly heard a word out of any of the Glazers. So the players, staff members, in a way, have just run amok in there and just done what they want to do and looked after themselves. And, you know, that is a big task that I do expect Ineos to get right in a way. You know, the mentality at this football club, and it will take time to change. I do have patience with that, trust me, but I just think, you know, certain decisions that they have made, you know, it's not benefited this club this season. And
no,
it's been a shambles, let's be honest with ourselves.
Glazers at the top, yes, they're to blame. We know that. The decline in all aspects of the club. When you talk about Ineos getting it right, Ratcliffe and all that, you know, not for me. I'm not convinced. There's a couple of things they've done all right, and I think they've made some terrible mistakes. I think the PR, what comes out of them, is absolutely diabolical. They must think we're proper mugs, and they're treating us like mugs. Well, not just mugs. We're just customers now to be fleeced. That's how I see it, and there's a lot wrong with them, and they've got to improve massively for me to turn round to be convinced.
Just got to hope the plan works, and there needs to be a plan going forward. Of course they do, because if you don't have a plan, you're just going to be going round in circles that Manchester United have been doing for the last 10, 15 years maybe, and you know that's going to be a big thing. You know, seeing that next season, that we don't have a point in the season where they're having to rip up a plan, maybe sacking someone. I don't mean the manager, but any other members of staff, etc., who have prominent roles with inside the football club, making the footballing decisions. We don't want to see any of that. All I want to see is some improvement on the pitch next season. I'm not talking about real progress, challenging for even the top four or challenging for the Premier League. I know that's not coming next season, but I just want to see some improvement, just something to get up off my seat, you know, during games and have that confidence and be proud of the team as well, most importantly.
Well, fans want to come watch the game of football and to enjoy it. They've just not seen it.
Yeah.
Any enjoyment would be much appreciated, Ruben.
Bazrig, thanks for your super chat, mate. It says 66 quid tickets. Biggest mistake from them mugs. Well, yeah. You know, I can't disagree with that, mate. And, you know, you're seeing quite a few protests in, especially the last couple of home games with the lads sat behind, and the women, sorry, sat behind the dugout at Old Trafford. They're not happy as well.
No, it's It's all about money, innit? That's what it is. The root of all evil, they say the money is. You know, we are customers. You've just got to look at it. The new stadium, what's that going to cost each fan? Are we going to be priced out? Most fans, I think, will be priced out. But if that doesn't go ahead, which I don't believe it's going to go ahead, because there's no way this government, right, is going to give the money for the infrastructure and everything else like that. So I think here's another plan for Ineos, what's going to change, and they're going to have to look at the stadium.
Andrew Little, just to finish off, thanks always for the good show, lads. Been a United fan for over 40 years, and Tony's seen the worst and still loves Manchester United. The good days will return. Thanks for ending us on that, Andrew. It's much appreciated. I'd just like to thank you all for joining us as well, getting involved in the chat. If you do enjoy the video or you want to help support us, smash a like on today's video, and we will be back tomorrow.
Thank you.
You enjoy your day, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Much appreciated.